There are Deltarune chapters 1 to 4 spoilers in this video, you have been warned. The Eggman has always been an odd character in the Deltarune universe, being hidden by some sort of object only visible to Chris throughout the story. Gaster also shares a similar story, falling into the core of Undertale, and being forgotten by all the characters in that universe. It seems Undertale and Deltarune are connected in some sort of way. Deltarune seems to be an alternative timeline of Undertale or vice versa. In Chapter 3 and 4, we have gotten so much lore for the Eggman it nearly confirms the connection between him and Gaster. In Deltarune Chapter 4, when Chris tries to sketch the Eggman on a canvas, he is unable to do that, and the pencil seems to defy Chris's orders. And in the end the result is simply a monochrome smear. And if Chris tries to wash his hands after drawing this sketch, a permanent mark of graphite is left on his hand, perhaps showing how he chooses not to forget the Eggman. Gaster also plays an important role throughout the story of Deltarune, highly speculated to be the opening voice in the vessel creation. Choosing to discard the vessel, and we possess Chris's soul instead of the vessel. Also in the Chapter 3 egg encounter, we almost seem to be in the light world instead of the dark world, with Chris's outfit being his overworld sprite. But after you talk to the Eggman, Chris's sprite turns back into his dark world outfit. The only time in the story we have been able to traverse through dark worlds or from the light world to the dark world is through a door with the Deltarune symbol on it. This is the only time in the whole game we have seemed to go through worlds simply through the Eggman. If the Eggman was lost through space and time, dark worlds and light worlds wouldn't apply to him. But how can we even talk to the Eggman if he was forgotten? And what do the eggs have to do with the story? The eggs in your inventory have text saying they aren't too unimportant but not too important. What could this mean? The eggs in the start of Chapter 4, no matter what you do with them, end up on Birdley's desk. The eggs are also locked out of the weird route, unable to be obtained. We can analyze the Eggman's schedule he gave Chris to understand his character more. In Chapter 3 he says on Saturday he lies on the windowsill. This is where the Chapter 4 egg is located. But he says on Sunday he is going to harvest the wheat, presumably when Chapter 5 takes place. This confirms his whereabouts in Chapter 5, but this still doesn't help us understand his character. The Eggman also isn't a Darkner because we see him in the light world in the Chapter 3 Eggman room. Gaster in Undertale is forgotten by everyone, but he also played a huge role in making the core, and played a huge role at the start of the Undertale lore. Forgotten after the core incident, almost as if he never had even existed. Chapter 4 is the first chapter where we don't actually get handed the egg, but simply drawing the man gives the same properties as an egg. If you look at Gaster, his head seems to be a cracked egg, though this is a little bit of a stretch. If Gaster is an egg and even drawing him gives you an egg, with 7 chapters maybe we have to collect all the eggs to complete his true form to bring him back to reality. With a lot of religious symbolism in Deltarune, link in pinned comment explains most of it. For added context, the beast in the Book of Revelation has 7 heads, and with 7 chapters, if we get an egg each chapter we will have 7 eggs. Now you might say, well, if Gaster's head is an egg we will have 8 heads, and your theory is wrong. But maybe we will replace Gaster's cracked head, maybe even tied to how he is lost through space and time. Gaster will end up having 7 heads, and that could drastically change the plot of how Deltarune shapes out if you actually go and collect these eggs. Also, with Deltarune having 3 routes and with all recruits and no recruits seeming to be almost the exact same in story. Maybe the 3 main routes are supposed to be the weird route, pacifist with no eggs, and pacifist with all eggs collected. And with even more symbolism, and the angels' heaven seeming to be the heaven of Christianity, and how the light world could symbolically be the earth, it's not that big of a stretch to say how hell could be the dark worlds. And collecting the eggs being the only way to maybe even merge the worlds, stop the roaring? I'm not too sure on this one, because this is completely dependent on Gaster's motives and what he will choose to do in the plot of Deltarune. Gaster's connection to eggs in general have been relevant to both game stories. In conclusion, Gaster and the Eggman are the same person due to their similar upbringing and identical backstories. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.